Hi, Edu. Welcome to Eve Innovation Could Talk.
Hello, how are you, Eva?
I am really good. I am super pleased to have you with us today because you have got a fascinating background, particularly how you started E-Dublin. Please tell us more.
Sure, thank you so much for the invitation. Well, as you can get from my accent, I'm not originally from Ireland, where I'm based right now. I've been living here for 12 years, and that's how E-Dublin has started. When I moved abroad, I wanted to learn English, and there was no information about Ireland in Portuguese, where I'm coming from. So what I did is let me start, typing all this information somewhere and registering like all these experiences and making sure that this is available for people so they can find it. So that's how essentially I started in Dublin, which is like a central, like it was like a repository for information for Brazilians who were moving abroad and moving to Ireland. So that's how it really started. It wasn't a business plan. It wasn't really like a big strategy behind. It was purely registration of all my experiences in a blog format that then grew into something bigger to where we are right now. So you fast forward now, we're reaching like 5 million people every month. It's much bigger. We have an operation, but that's how Dublin started.
So let me get this straight. You started off with from a place of giving to the community as opposed to monetizing. So you don't, at the time, you didn't actually have a product to sell.
100%. Oh, even more. To be very honest, it took me years to become profitable or to even make money because I wasn't looking at this as like a business. I was always trying to just create something that would help people. It took 3, 4 years to then realize that when people were coming to me like, "Can we advertise? Can we sponsor this?" I was like, "Oh, maybe there's opportunities, for me to make money out of it." But really, as you said, like it started purely like from this side of it was a side hustle. It was something that I started just for the sake of helping people, and that later became a business.
A lot of out there will be actually interested. So at what point in time did you start, did you turn this side hustle into real business and turn this passion into something much bigger?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. You start your side hustle and it's not profitable. You still have your 9 to 5 job for a while because you're doing something that you're really passionate about. It can be starting sometimes with a hobby. That's something that you have some interest, you have some dedication, but your level of expectation on the level of people's expectation on you is very low. So that's a hobby, and that became something that was a bit more professional when other big brands were coming to us and coming to me and say like, can we sponsor this? How do we work with you? How do we pay for that? How do we get more involved? This has started to create a wheel effect where more brands were coming in and they were saying, oh, I saw that brand X, I'm brand Y, and I want to come in and join in as well. How can I do that? And things started to grow. And then when you like least realize, you're like, oh, I'm making more money out of it than I am on my 9 to 5 job. But what I did wasn't quit the job. I kept my job, but rather I was hiring people and delegating the tasks and delegating, the work. So that's how I could scale myself. And there's a secondary thing to scaling, which wasn't necessarily just for the sake of the task, but to get different perspectives. Because I mean, as much as I would love to, I'm still like a white male coming from a big city in Brazil. And I wanted to give different perspectives and be more inclusive. So I start to get different people from different backgrounds with completely different lifestyles so they could create their experiences on E-Dublin as well. So that delegation also helped me expand, to different aspects and different perspectives of life abroad.
Edu, that is music to our ears because Danny and I mentioned in our founders video that diversity is a cornerstone of innovation. That is how we see it. What does innovation mean to you?
Innovation has a lot to do with how you perceive things. It's really challenging how things are given to you. There's a book from Ray Dalio that says it's called Principles, and one of the principles he shares is don't accept things for how they told you they are. Try and really understand how they are. Try and really understand how things work. And I think innovation is usually that for anything in life. It's not only business related, it could be anything. If you really try and understand how things work, you're able to kind of reverse engineer that and try and figure out better ways of doing it or different ways of doing it. And that's when innovation really starts. So if you have that mindset, that's when you become like an innovator yourself.
Now, in the interest of time, but this is really important, tell us, what message would you leave behind for the If Innovation Could Talk community?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say that thinking of innovation, and if you put that mindset of innovation, what does that mean? Is you're trying to figure things out, trying to understand how things work and think differently on how things are done. You want to explore new ways of doing things, new ways of achieving certain goals that you have either in life or to help the community, to help others. So that kind of mindset usually happens when you're really open to accepting people's advice, accepting what people have to come and say to you. So my advice would be assume good intentions on people. Always assume good intentions, because especially if you move abroad, we've been abroad for years. You know yourself, when you meet people from abroad, what they tend to do is they have their own beliefs, their own cultures, their ways of doing things. And if you try and challenge that in a negative way, it's going to create conflict. It's going to create, war. It's going to create friction. It's not good for anyone. Where if you accept that that's their reality and try to respect that, you're going to be so much more open to how things work. And then this is going to give you so much more inspiration to doing things differently. Same good intentions.
That is absolutely wonderful. So everybody just remember, along the journey, be open-minded, be respectful, and you can become successful like Edu. Edu, thank you so much. It has been wonderful having you with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation again.